All right, and we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Left Wing, Wednesday Left Wing Lives. How you doing today, John?
Doing good, TJ. Glad to be here on another Left Wing Live. Always have fun with you. What are we talking about today, TJ? I know we were just talking about how we desperately need an assistant.
Yeah, it's so funny that I kind of see these patterns with creatives, I guess, and one of them that unfortunately is true. You had just mentioned it before we went live. Is not so good at the minutia. Not so good at it. Like it's actually painful. Like making a calendar for me, physical pain. I hate doing it. And so I'm glad to hear when other people have a harder time with like that boring shit.
Yeah. And we're talking about how like you used to not look down on people, but like, why do you need an assistant? And then when you started doing this, even on a small scale show that has 2 days a week of recording, one guest a week, it's still so much to manage. And obviously we don't do this full time. We do this in the time that we have outside of work, family, friends, all that. But even then, it's difficult to do, and it's all the stuff I don't want to do. It's all like if you could just sit me, I feel like so envious of people whose job is just sit down in front of a camera and do this. Even if we just do this and editing, like that's fine too. But like it's the scheduling and the uploading and the writing the descriptions and the coming up like that stuff is That's the worst part of this job, guys, and this isn't even a job.
It is, man. It is. Like sometimes I would watch you'd watch like late night shows and the host would be talking to the guests and then you're saying, okay, so it says here you grew up in Jacksonville. It's like, no, I didn't. I grew up in, Boston. Like, oh, I'm sorry. And like, how'd they fuck that up? Yeah, I see it. Like I see, because your assistant, you don't study every single person you're going into to talk to. And so your assistant gives you the notes. If your assistant fucks up, that's on you. You can't blame your assistant for it. So yeah, it's I don't know, vital role these folks play. I see why they do it.
Yes. Which, if anyone's watching and would like to work for free as be an administrative assistant for the Left Wing, the job position is open. Is what we're saying.
We're going places, folks. We're going places. We have long coattails, John and I.
We have $9 on our Spotify account. That could be yours.
We're up to like $40, I think, on YouTube right now. Yeah, you need 100 to actually pull the money out, and so we're slowly getting there. We're slowly getting there. So I don't know if you saw the title of the thumbnail I made for the show, John. Man, I have been massively disappointed in people these past few days with this whole, I don't know if you guys heard, but this weekend, Donald Trump had an attempt on his life by possibly the weirdest man in the state of Pennsylvania. John, I think you can speak to that better than I can, but this was a weird dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, the weirdest man in the state of Pennsylvania, that's definitely not the case. I meet
not anymore,
people
definitely.
every day on the train into Philly, but no, it's a weird, bizarre case, and I do agree with you. Like, it's so obviously not staged, and here is how I definitively know it's not staged.
All right, what you got?
Donald Trump tried to stage a press conference at the Four Seasons Hotel and ended up at Four Seasons Landscaping. He's not capable of staging an assassination attempt, nor would he ever put himself in front of live ammunition that is inches from his brain, not centimeters from his brain, in order to win a presidency where he's already up like astronomically. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. The only thing that's weird to me is that, like, why didn't the Secret Service take him out earlier? Like, that does seem strange to me, but there's like 80 other explanations for that before Trump risked his life for a staged assassination attempt.
Couldn't agree more. I have been crestfallen seeing how many people people who I assumed were rational and everything, like people who are not as many leftists, but a lot of liberals. And it's like, folks, we spent the better part of a decade making fun of conservatives for crafting these wild conspiracy theories. And I have the same reasons that you have, that I don't believe for one goddamn second that this was a staged attempt by Donald Trump. That, first off, there's no evidence. That seems pretty important to bring up. Zero evidence whatsoever, but people are running free. It's like, this is a wild accusation. I'm going to need some pretty extraordinary evidence, and no one's giving me ordinary evidence at this point. So I see no reason to believe it's true. And I agree wholeheartedly with what you said. Staging a fake assassination attempt in broad daylight, in public, on live television is like an incredibly dangerous maneuver. That is as risky as hell. Donald Trump was winning. He was in his best position that he'd been the entire campaign.
Yeah. In fact, his strategy was to shut the fuck up mostly and let the media consume Biden. Like, he didn't want attention on himself.
Yeah, exactly. John, ever since the debate, I think we talked about it last week. I think we mentioned that Trump hasn't been saying anything since the debate, which is smart. Like, Joe Biden is fighting for his political life, and he's winning. Why would he take this incredibly risky maneuver? It's a desperation move doing something like that, and that's not in Trump's nature. I remember during the presidential debates for the primary for the Republican Party, he was winning all the polls. He didn't even debate. Why? Or you could only fuck it up that way. Same thing with speaking with Biden. And then, like, my favorite go-to point is exactly what you said there. You're telling me that Donald Trump crafted this elaborate conspiracy that involved the cooperation, the consent, and most importantly, the silence of dozens of people. The Trump campaign, the Secret Service, the local police, police investigative forces, federal investigative forces, and put his life in the hand of a 20-year-old fucking loser who had a proven track record of poor shooting. Like, he was kicked out of his high school rifle club. And he's like, oh yeah, whiz these bullets like a few inches from my body. I'm going to trust you to do. That's insanity, man. There's no way this is true. And it's heartbreaking seeing how many people are buying this.
Yeah, and the only thing that makes it feel like a conspiracy theory is that the picture is so goddamn good.
Picture's so good.
Like, it's maybe one of the greatest pictures I have ever seen in my life. It's right up there with that picture of the, like, Buddhist dude hitting the baseball in Tibet. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like one of those pictures. It belongs in the Louvre. It is a all-time historical photo. Whoever the photographer is who took that deserves some sort of reward. It's so perfect that you think it has to be fake. Like, you're like, there's no way that's actually real.
It goes hard as fuck. And I'm glad you brought that up, because there's two things I want to mention with that. One is people say that it's staged because Donald Trump, when the fire happened, he told the Secret Service to wait so he could do the little photo op thing. And they're like, oh, who would do that? Every time I hear someone ask that, I think, okay, there's a person who was not a born entertainer. That's what I hear, because I would have done that. That's exactly what I would have done. Like, it would have taken no time at all to realize this is an opportunity of a lifetime, and this is what Donald Trump lives for. So of course he would do that. And what's interesting is that when the gunshots happened and the Secret Service tackled Trump, whatever, like, a bunch of cameramen like flooded the stage. Like, they ran towards the gun, but like firemen. They're like, because they knew they were going to get a good shot at it. And the guy who took, hold on, I'll pull it up right here. The Trump photo. I mean, like, no one's seen this, but that picture goes hard as fuck, man. It does. I hate to admit it. I fucking hate to admit it, but
you got to give credit where credit is due.
That
is amazing. Like, you couldn't have staged this better. Like, if you had a professional photo shoot, you couldn't have done this better with the American flag fully unwrapped in the background. He's a born entertainer, and that's why. That's why he got the blood across the face. It's dude in the shades just fucking killing him. Like,
the flag seems like a paid actor for this photo. It's so good. Like, it's when I first saw it, I assumed the flag was Photoshopped. Like, no way. There's no way it could actually happen. And sure enough, it did. But And I hate saying it too, because Trump's such a fucking asshole. Like, guy, how does he? I feel like Jesse in Breaking Bad with Donald Trump. How does he keep getting away with this? Like, how does he keep doing this shit? But the photographer who took the picture of the bullet whizzing by Trump's head, did you ever see that one?
No, I actually haven't.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, stall for a second.
I saw someone allude to it and share a screenshot, and it was too pixelated. Like, I was like, "You're joking, right? I don't see any bullet." But like,
oh, it is kind of hard to see. That's true. It is kind of hard to see. In fact, in this picture I have up here, it's hard to see on the screen, but you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you'll see it. Let me see. Pull it up here. But this picture was taken right as the bullets started firing, and it is wild. I don't know if you can see that. It is kind of small there. It's like a little silver line here.
Yeah, I see the little silver line.
Yeah.
And that's why. Yeah, because it travels that far. Because the shutter speed, that's cool. That's awesome.
That is. Now, the guy who took this photo is a New York Times photographer who is a Pulitzer Prize winner and has been following presidential campaigns for like 40 years. And I posted a picture talking about how, the shooter was, I don't believe Donald Trump would risk his life for this. There's for a race he was already winning. No shot. He wouldn't risk it for anything. Nobody would say, oh yeah, let's fire bullets all around me and stuff. And the bullets were real because, it hit the teleprompter. It hit bullets hit 3 people. And you saw a picture of the bullet whizzing by Trump. And I had some guy comment, this has been debunked. It's been proven fake. I was like, okay, the New York Times verified this. A Pulitzer Prize winning journalist and photographer verified it. What are your sources? Of course, like nothing. He had nothing at all. But people are just aching to like make this go away and be fake. And it's like, people, we got to live in reality here. It's okay. It's okay to just acknowledge what happened here, even though it made Trump look cool. I hate it too, but I'm not going to go down this insane rabbit hole. You guys just turn into Alex Jones. It's wild.
The only conspiracy theory about this, conspiracy theory is a long word here, but I'll say just speculative theory about this that I do kind of believe is that it might have influenced his VP pick. Because
interesting.
If I'm thinking, what's going to stop people from killing me for being fascist? I'm going to pick someone even worse to be my VP. It's an insurance policy. That I'll buy. I'll buy that. I think he was going to pick Vance all the way, but it does. The logic at least tracks out.
Yeah, that's funny. Vance, there's stuff to say about Vance too. But I want to add one more thing with the conspiracy part. And that's people who are saying that they think it's conspiracy because for some legitimate complaints they have that, because my first thought was, I feel like I had the same thought I had during 9/11 when I heard about the Pentagon being crashed into by a plane. It's like, come on, there's no way that plane would have been shot down before it got there. And people like, no, like a lot of stuff just falls apart. It's like people think that the Secret Service, like the movies, that the Secret Service are this, flawless force that can't be touched and they're ready for everything. And I remind folks that the Secret Service hasn't had to deal with a presidential shooting in like 40 years. It's been a long fucking time since anything like this happened. And by the way, Donald Trump is working with probably like the Secret Service D or E team because, he's not acting president. And they probably just dropped the ball when it was game time. That seems a lot more likely to me than this elaborate ruse that they executed, pardon the pun, executed in broad daylight in front of everybody perfectly. I just don't buy that.
Yeah, no, and I actually know a Secret Service agent. I wrestled with his son. I used to do the Secret Service, like he ran like the conditioning program for the Secret Service, and he had this set up in his backyard, and we used to do it. So these guys are well-trained people, but they're human.
They're human, yeah.
It's a million thousand mistakes happen in situations like this, and there's 1,000 different rational explanations for why this guy got shots off that aren't. It's a conspiracy theory, especially a conspiracy theory that ends in a person being killed. And like that was like the, I don't know.
Did you had any doubts?
Yeah, like there's always going to be, anytime something like this happens, there's going to be conspiracy theories, like 1,000,000%. But the thing, kind of like what you said, where I saw people who ostensibly should know better calling this conspiracy theory when an innocent person was killed, it just feels be disrespectful to Trump all you fucking want. I don't give a shit. But it feels disrespectful to the innocent person who was killed to be like, nah, it's just a conspiracy theory, guys. Like, he's dead. He's a dead person. We know. So either you're saying Trump intentionally killed this innocent person, which I guess I wouldn't put it past him. But again, we go back to, but that means he would have been risking his own life, and he definitely wouldn't have done that.
Yes. So, yes, that's exactly the route I was going down, because I saw people talking about this, and one person brought the same thing. It is like, one person is dead and 2 others are critically injured. Like, I think this kind of proves it's real. And the response they give is like, you think Trump gives a fuck? Yeah, you think Trump wouldn't mind killing? It's like, okay, all right, sure. Trump probably doesn't care if these people die, but he's not going to put himself in harm's way. Like, this is just proving that those were live rounds that were fired very close to him. And you have a lot of work ahead of you to convince me that Donald Trump willingly stood there like a statue while bullets, just whipped by him, like that, and killed other people. I know times are weird now. I know we live in the worst possible universe and everything, but Donald Trump is not Lex Luthor, people. He's not a genius like Bond villain. Okay, he's the same idiotic oaf he's always been, and like just assuming that he has this grand plan and master conspiracy, that I can't get over the fact that it was done like in broad daylight on live TV, so it could be examined a million different ways by every organization. No, that's not how this shit works. Oh, Coach D, what's going on? Thank you. Democrats are coming off like QAnons with some of this stuff. Coach, I know. I know. It's so disappointing, man. I don't know if you've seen it, John, but I've seen a lot of people like in my comment, like people that have been following me. It's like, no, not you. Oh no. I hate it.
So I have 2 schools of thought about this. So it did go through my head, at least, like the thought that it could be a conspiracy theory. It was one of the things that rushed through my head when I was processing this information. And I think it's totally reasonable to at least ask yourself the question, but to go out there and just say, no, this is definitely a conspiracy theory. Come on. like, first of all, if I truly believed that Donald Trump had new handlers around him who were actually capable of pulling this off and staging this and murdering someone in the process, I'd go off of social media, TJ. I'd be like, no, I'm done. We're good. These guys, they're winning the election, and I'm not fucking with them. Like, if I actually believed he was capable of this, I'm not saying shit anymore. Like, forget about me. I'm MAGA John from now until Trump is out of power, because I would like to live. But so that's how I know. I'm just like, the implications of this being staged. Like, if you think he's that competent and just willing to kill innocent people like that, you wouldn't really be spouting off about it. Like, if you actually believe that in your heart of hearts.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Donald Trump has just scared people so much that because it's so wild how often their argument boils down to, like for example, we'll say something like, well, he was already winning. He's never been doing this well the entire election cycle. Why would he run this massive risk like that? They're like, listen, you're thinking like a rational person. Trump is not rational. Okay. Trump being irrational isn't just a plug and play to make you say that he can do whatever he did, anything crazy. It's like, you need actual evidence for this. It's not asking all that much, but people I think they just want to believe it. And that's what really has made me sad about this, that all this time, I thought that it was just, conservatives are just, they have baby brains. And of course, they buy an experience like this. Apparently, a lot of liberals like this too. Apparently, a lot of them like this too. I first had this thought with the Russia stuff. Remember how everyone kept talking about, a lot. So the Russians, when the Russians were, what they called meddling with the elections, where they bought like Facebook bots and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they had like this, like their own QAnon with all these Russia connections and everything. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there was something there, but it wasn't all that much. That's when I first suspected that, okay, they're kind of buying into a lot of nonsense too. But man, this has really done it for me. I've been depressed all day. Actually, the last couple days seeing this stuff, and I don't know where we go from here.
TJ, I mean, I've been on this on this wagon for a while. Like,
I thought they were better than this, John. I thought they were better than this.
It's a bell curve. And I think that more crazy people fall into the conservative side, but I think just as many fall into our side of the aisle. Like, it's very easy to arrive at the right conclusions for the wrong reasons. And there's just most people, I hate to say it, but imagine, the classic Carlin quote, think about how dumb the average person is, and then realize that 50% of people are dumber than they are. Yeah. And like, there's a lot of dumb people who want to believe a lot of things, and they have a lot of reasons for wanting to believe things, and they don't really follow things they don't know. And so if you're using online comment section to like, as your barometer, even if you're using content creators, as your barometer of like, hey, this is what like people are thinking right now, you're probably far off. It's just like, there's going to be idiots. There's always going to be idiots. Sometimes even people who are really smart in one area are going to be idiots in another. And and we've talked about that time and time again. So I don't think it's so much like a left versus right thing. There's always going to be conspiracy theorists. There's always going to be people who are just going to believe whatever allows them to continue their worldview. And yeah, you're right. We are in such a crazy fucking time right now. Genuinely. Like, I know that everyone is always like, oh, this is the most, we've talked about it. This is the most important election of our lifetime.
It's so funny.
I do believe this one is. like, I do believe that this one has a strong case for being the most important election of our lifetimes. And the effort we're seeing from both parties, given those circumstances, it's insane. Like, it does drive me crazy. Like, you said you've been depressed since this. The debate sent me into a fucking tailspin, DJ. Like, I was, it feels like I'm living in some alternate reality, because the people who are supposed to, quote unquote, protect us, the people who are supposed to be the adults in the room, there is an obvious like meteor headed towards the earth. And all we have to do is just like press a button to not let it hit. And people are telling us, nah, we're going to be okay. And it's just like, why? It does make me go absolutely crazy. So if people are going to be crazy at any time and trying to just like find meaning in all of this bullshit, I'm not going to hold it against them. But you're right. It's not fucking staged. Stop being so gullible.
Stop it, people. Stop. I am begging you to just use your critical faculties that God gave you. Like, you guys are part of the same reasonably intelligent mammalian species that John and I are part of. We know you can do it. We know you can think your way through this. That's all we're asking. I don't know if you saw, I saw this right before I hopped on, but did you see that Adam Schiff has called for Joe Biden to step down? Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Saw that from our friend Desmond. My thoughts are good, and more of them should. Like, this trickle that we have right now going on.
Yeah. What's up with that? That's weird to me.
So I don't know what's going on behind it. This is where like you can speculate with conspiracy theories.
Oh, of course,
there is clearly a conspiracy or multiple conspiracies. We don't know what they are, because we know there are massive efforts behind the scenes to get Joe Biden to step down.
Yeah.
We know who some of the players are. Obviously, I think it's up to 20 members of Congress have publicly come forward and called for him to step down. We know that Pelosi and Schumer are
hinting
to some extent. Like, Pelosi, Schumer a little less so publicly, but like when Pelosi went on Morning Joe and said, well, it's up for him to decide. Like, we know which side of the fight she's on, and it is, but then we also have the DNC trying to push things forward and call early nominations for Joe Biden based on these legal technicalities that like constitutional scholars have very clearly said aren't real, just to get the nomination signed, sealed, and delivered for Joe Biden to kind of stop this pressure on Biden so that like it can't succeed. Because once he's the nominee,
it's over. Yeah,
it's over. Unless
more ways than one, probably,
which is a possibility, a distinct possibility. But like, it's there's so much smoke that I don't know if there is one concerted effort where it's like, hey, we are going to do this drip campaign and slowly build the pressure. And eventually, once we have a critical mass, we're going to drop the hammer, because there is something to be said of, hey, if we just come out, like, get the whole team together with Pelosi and Schumer and Biden and Clinton and publicly go forward and say Joe Biden needs to step down, well, suddenly there is a massive story about, hey, if this was the case, why didn't you do it sooner? And everyone is implicated. If every big name goes public. So it does seem to make sense to me that if your goal is to slowly build the pressure in the least damaging way, this slow drip of people coming forward, and Adam Schiff's a big one. Adam Schiff's probably the biggest name that has come forward so far.
Yep.
And if I think that is probably the strategy right now, because there is a list of things that can still be done ending in the 25th Amendment, and they don't want to get any farther down it than they need to. And because the farther down it goes, the more damage the party takes. And they don't want that. So I think that's what's going on here. But it could be that these guys are independently coming to the conclusion that this
no
is
way
to do.
No,
right?
Well,
and they're not being told not to. Like like if they were being told not to, I don't think it would matter if they independently came to the conclusion. I don't think that's what's going on. But I think Pelosi and Schumer have given the, okay, guys, it's okay to come forward. And it's possible that they're just independently arriving at these conclusions. And the more people who do it, the more people who will feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do think that they've more likely than not independently come to conclusions. I can't say one way or the other. But what's important is what you said about them being allowed to do so. Because there's no way in hell Adam Schiff just wakes up one morning and says,
we're not the Republican Party, folks. Like we don't do it that way.
That's a good point. The Republicans would do that. But you know, Adam Schiff definitely went to Hakeem Jeffries and like, hey, you know, am I good to go out there and say this, or am I going to get in trouble? And, you know, what gets me is that the drip thing, I can see that working only one. See, either way, it's a gamble no matter how you do it. But to me, the drip thing doesn't work unless you drag it out until the convention and then do the change like officially there. But I don't know. I would rather the guns blazing attack and it's like, hey, everyone, we're doing a united front, and where the president couldn't possibly, you know, survive this sort of revolt within the party. And honestly, even if that wasn't the plan, I think now's the time to do it. Or I guess the time to do it would have been a couple days ago, because it's kind of weird that the Trump assassination story has kind of died down, that no one seems to give a fuck anymore. It's very weird how quickly we got over that. I want to mention that as well. And for an example of that, you know who did seize the opportunity with this? Judge Eileen Cannon. Day after Trump got shot, she's like, all right, hey, just so you know, I'm dropping the case here. No way that was a coincidence. No way at all.
She was like, it was like how Roger Goodell always releases like suspension news at like 5 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah.
Paying attention. Like it was exactly like that. He's just like, and that was no story at all. That was excellent.
Gone.
Excellent.
If that had happened, like if the Trump assassination thing hadn't happened, that's a 2-week news story. That is a news story. I'm just trying to figure what her plan was here. Like, was she? The election is like before the big holidays. Like, when was she? She was clearly always going to do this, but when did she plan on dropping this? Like, maybe that was going to be the October surprise. I don't know, but there's no way she had that. She was just working on that Friday evening and then dropped it. I was like, no, she was ready to go with that. You say what?
By the way, guys. Wait, I know. Drop it on Friday?
I thought. Well, when did he get shot?
He was shot on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought it was Sunday. Maybe it was Monday. I guess Sunday's kind of a weird day, so it must have been.
Yeah. He was shot because I was at the pool, so it was Saturday or Sunday. It wasn't Friday.
Yeah, it was. Well, yeah. No, there's no way she was typing it up on Friday and then released it a couple days later. So for some reason, thinking the next day, but you're right, Sunday wouldn't make much sense. So it was probably Monday. But yeah, that is kind of wild that she just dropped it like that. What was I saying before?
You mentioned, and I do want to talk about it, how it is just a zero story.
Yes,
not
that's
zero.
It.
It's still being talked about, but like it is incredible how quickly we just moved past a presidential assassination attempt. I mean, were you alive for the Reagan one?
I would have been like 2 or 3.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, like, I don't know how long that was in the news, but I do think the failed assassination. It's kind of like you process the news, it's big, and then it's just like, oh, that happened. Like,
yeah,
it has no consequence, really. So I think that's why it's not really a story. And no one really wants it to be, is the other thing. Like,
that's it.
Trump doesn't want it to be too much of a story. Like, he wants it to run on like his base because it'll get out the vote, and that's the biggest consequence of the whole thing. But like, he doesn't want it to take up oxygen from the Biden debate, and he doesn't. And the Democrats also want to keep the pressure on Biden, and Biden doesn't know what happened yet. So or he doesn't remember that it happened anyway. So like that, it's weird. It's all weird. But I do think it is kind of rational. Like, it's just, well, not the biggest deal. It's like it kind of goes to show, like, everyone kind of internally understands that Donald Trump's the kind of guy who's going to get assassination attempts on. Like, it's not really surprising. Like,
that has been the most common response about this, is like, I'm surprised it took so long. That's what I've heard. Most people say, I can't believe it's taken this long. It's taken 8 years. Mark brings up a good point that Reagan was seriously injured and in the hospital. Plus, his assailant was captured, and Jodie Foster. So, yeah, Reagan was shot by Mark Hinckley Jr. Back in the 80s. And Hinckley missed, just like John Hinckley. Not Mark Hinckley, John Hinckley, I think. But it doesn't matter, Hinckley. But this guy, what's his name? Thomas Crooks in Pennsylvania, he missed. But when Hinckley missed, one of the bullets ricocheted off of a car and hit Reagan in the ribs, and he was in the hospital for a while. And so that was, I don't remember, but I'm sure that, we still talk about it and everything, but this would have seemed just to evaporate. I think the reason for it, or one of the main reasons, is that there's no real narrative built here. Yeah. The guy was just a fucking weirdo.
So the guy, weird lone wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing to like do whole news stories on. Like, he wasn't the head of, the Young Democrats Club or something like that, or Pennsylvania Socialist and the Socialist Rifle Organization. Like, oh, it's just a matter of time before these radicals went out of the president. No, he was just an inscrutably weird dude. He donated $15 to Act Blue when he was 17. Did you see that? That was yeah. So there's a donation to like a progressive PAC through Act Blue back when he was 17 years old, 3 years ago, in 2021. But he's also a registered Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so people were weirded out, but it's like, okay, what's going on here? And then I saw a news story that there was another guy named Thomas Crooks who didn't live in New Salem, I think he was from. And then there's one that lived in Pittsburgh, and he was 69 years old. Oh, maybe this guy donated Act Blue. And then Ryan Grimm did a deep dive into this. No, it was the 17-year-old Thomas Crooks who donated to Act Blue and was a registered Republican. And when he shot at Trump, he was wearing like this T-shirt for this Second Amendment YouTube channel or something. Mm-hmm. And he didn't seem to he left no manifesto. He didn't seem to have any consistent ideology. So it's hard to generate a news story off this because it's just confusing and weird. And like you said, like it seems like real lone wolf shit. Like, he just wanted to gain notoriety by taking a shot and possibly killing a president.
Yeah. Maybe it's suicide by cop, but in like the highest echelon possible, Mm-hmm. Maybe he was like, yo, I want to commit suicide. What's the coolest way to go out?
What's the coolest way to go out? Yeah.
Yo, Trump's in town. Let's do it this way. I don't know. Like, but you're right. There's no narrative. There's no sustained thing going forward. That's weird. That's a crazy
so
event,
weird.
And it's a cool picture. But like, really, is someone gonna vote for Trump now that he got shot? No, it will get out the vote. It'll help get out the vote. Mm-hmm. And honestly, even that, the effect probably won't be that huge because it's not close enough to the election. But like, that's really all. It'll fire up the base. He can use it in ads. It's a wonderful fucking photo. And he'll have it for the rest of his life, and that's wonderful for him. But like I'm a little jealous. Like it is the absolute best case scenario of an assassination attempt is you get whizzed in the ear.
I was going to go
badass photo taken, and everyone has your sympathy for about like a couple days. I mean, not everyone, but you know what I mean. Like it's
the
best case outcome for someone trying to assassinate you.
Well, there's two things you mentioned I want to talk about there too. Is when it happened, I kind of had the gut feeling. I think most people had this too. That it's over now. It's done. Like Trump with this moment is gonna, and then the next day or two, it just all the fire gone, and it's like okay. I don't think this is going to have much of an effect at all. I just certainly we're a month away from people saying, oh, remember that time someone tried to blow Donald Trump's head off? It's like, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Like we are not far from that happening.
Yeah. So you made a TikTok today, like you said, and I agreed with it. Like you were just like, yeah, by November, we're going to be like, oh, remember that funny thing that happens? Like that's exactly what it's going to be.
It'll be a meme. And there was one of the, so you said it couldn't have gone better. I think there's a way it could have gone, worse / better, depending on what you value more. And I think the main thing that's stopping Trump from really capitalizing on this is he got shot in the fucking ear. Like what Mark brought up a good point. Like he wasn't seriously injured. If it had ricocheted and went into his ribs and he had to go to the hospital, that's gonna get some traction. Like, oh my God, he almost died. Or even better, this is what I thought would be even better, that when Crooks shot and hit the teleprompter, the glass hit Trump's ear, if it had hit his eye and he had to wear an eye patch, game over. Game over.
Trump, an American flag eye patch.
Game over, man. It's done. Like
even if he wouldn't have, even if it could be plausible that he needed an eye patch, he should.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. I thought about this. I think I told you I've been watching Mad Men lately, and what's the guy who ends up wearing the eye patch? I can't remember his name. Shit.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Hold on. That's just gonna drive me crazy. I have to find out which one is where the eye patch. Ken Cosgrove. Where's the eye patch? Yeah. So, someone Tree Stop says Trump is in town. Hey, Donald Trump's in town. Let's go. Oh, one more thing about this guy. So when I first heard the news story, I heard that he was 300 meters away when he fired at Donald Trump. And I was like, all right, that's a difficult shot. Like I can see someone, because like in the military, you when you're qualifying with your rifle, it's similar to an AR-15. And he wasn't using a scope, he was using iron sights. And so I'm familiar with that too. And when you're qualifying on the range, you have different, human torsos pop up, not real ones. So get you weirdos, but targets, and they pop up at different locations. And so there's a 50-meter target, a 100-meter target, I think a 175, a 250 or a 275, and a 300. And so whenever you get 40 targets that pop up, and you get 2 300-meter targets, and they're like that small in your so they're tiny. And so I would always skip the 300-meter ones because they're so small. I'm probably going to miss anyway. And I save it for the 275. So I'd have extra rounds. But then I heard this guy was 140 yards away. That is the target's like that big. 140 yards. It's massive. And I was like, bro, it's kind of embarrassing you missed a shot like that. I mean, I was trying to find a social media friendly way to say it, but I'm serious. Like, it is that big in your sights whenever you're shooting it. It is huge. And he was in an elevated position. And then I was like, okay, well, that's kind of easy to say, when you're taking a shot at the president and the Secret Service, like, you just probably had the nerves going and everything. But then I found out he was kicked out of his high school rifle club. Did you see that?
Easily the funniest part of this whole story. It's just like, of course, like a lot of people's first reaction was, "What the fuck? You miss 8 shots?" And it's just like, "Oh yeah, no, check out."
He was shitty. He was the worst shooter in the state of Pennsylvania, which makes you wonder again why he was doing this. I think
suicide by cop is the most obvious explanation. Like if I'm gonna put my money on one thing, it's, hey, I don't like Trump in general. I'm going to suicide by cop by trying to take him out.
Maybe. Oh, I forgot to mention one more thing that Mark said. He said, and Jodie Foster. For those of you wondering why he brought that up, John Hinckley said that he shot Ronald Reagan because Jodie Foster hated Ronald Reagan, and he had this weird parasocial relationship. He was in love with Jodie Foster. And I think she was like 14 at the time, which makes it even kind of weirder.
Oh, a lot. That part, yeah.
Yeah, it makes it a lot weirder. But
yeah, not that the guy needed any more weirdness.
I know you thought he couldn't get it. I know, but this guy, I keep reading his name, Thomas Crooks. They called him Thomas Matthew Crooks, and I was like, okay. I always
only
wondered
Matthew if he killed him.
Yeah, exactly. Because I always wondered why you have like Lee Harvey Oswald and James Earl Ray. It's like weird that these assassins go by 3 names. No, the news just does it. Like the news just does it. Yeah, apparently so. And he may have had, I don't know, because he hasn't left anything. Do you think maybe a motivation of his could be that he actually likes Trump and he wanted to be like linked with him forever or something? Like they both died that day, kind of like the guy who shot John Lennon or something like that, or the lady who shot Selena.
Who knows? Anyone who's going to, because first of all, anyone who's going to do this and do such a bad job of it,
awful,
is obviously just a crazy person. Because here's the thing, TJ, and most conspiracy theories I think can be disproven by what happened here, because it is incredibly easy to actually like change world history with a bullet. This has proven how easy it would be to actually, and sure, 100% like conspiracy theories have been real in the past, but like I'm telling you, I think if like someone who was really dedicated to like being like a maniac terrorist who was actually halfway intelligent wanted to do it, it would be really easy to do. Like the Unabomber is like given this like, oh, he's actually a secret genius. No, he was just moderately intelligent and a crazy person. Like it doesn't take that much to figure this stuff out. Like you can do a lot of damage and come up with a lot of terror if you are competent. And these people just never are because they're crazy people, because only crazy people would attempt something like this. And that's why all of these conspiracy theories, they rely on these people being very competent, and they clearly never are, or else you wouldn't even know it's a conspiracy theory, you know? Like the people who are competent at this, you never hear about it, you know?
Yeah. I will do some pushback on the Unabomber. That guy was pretty smart. Like, it doesn't take any intelligence to, I guess you need engineering skills to build like bombs and send them through the mail. But doing it consistently, not getting caught, that is kind of hard. Like, actually, it's pretty difficult where they don't track you.
I mean, come on, how hard? Like, I'm not saying that it's like easy. Like what he did wasn't easy, but you don't need to be Albert Einstein.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like you don't have to be like upper echelon. You just have to be a relatively smart person.
So
you know what I mean?
So I remember. So you ever wonder? Oh, I didn't wonder this, but I read this book on serial killers when I was in college. I think not for a class. It was for fun. I picked it up because it was interesting, and I learned a lot about the history of serial killing. And you think serial killers, they seem to be a lot more prevalent, like in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You don't hear much about serial killers these days. Like you don't have. I mean, you could list like a dozen major serial killers from, the 70s and 80s, Ted Bundy, Green River Killer, Son of Sam, the Zodiac Killer. You don't hear about folks like that anymore. And I was reading about it, and it's serial killers are just a lot easier to catch now with forensics. You shit you didn't have 50 years ago. And so now, like, the FBI projects that there's like 40 active serial killers in the country. And it's not so much that we have fewer people who want to be serial killers. It's just you'd be really fucking smart to be a serial killer. It is all like you have to be a genius to get away from being caught like that. And oh god, it's something else you said too.
And the other thing is, I always see like, because you see the chart go up in the 60s and 70s. Like before that, it's like, oh, were there no serial killers? No, there was just as much as there were in the 60s and 70s. We just didn't have any way of finding them.
Yeah,
it was incredibly difficult to get caught as a serial killer before the 60s and 70s.
Man, and like we didn't start using like fingerprints to like the 1890s or something. It's something like so I mean, yeah, like not getting away with murder, like I want to see was easier back then, but they convict you on way less back then. Like, yeah, it looks like you did it. Let's hang him. So I guess it could have that, but I don't know. It is wild that like fingerprints are still rather new when it comes to forensics. So
I'm sorry, dude. I just had the thought. I'm sorry. This Thomas guy, motivation. He wanted to prove his high school sharpshooting coach wrong. He's like, I'm going to assassinate Donald Trump. And he missed. And he's like, fuck. And then he got killed.
Fucking loser, man. Dude went, oh God, that kid. I mean, just like, what a waste. What a fucking waste. And you hear, there's a funny clip. It's not funny. I'm sorry. But there's a clip.
It's one of like all you can do is laugh. Like it's like it's so absurd. And the only thing that makes me feel bad about it is the guy actually died. I really wish that guy didn't die, or else it would be
I do too, man. There's so much I want to ask him. There's so much I gotta know about what happened here.
I'm fine with the shooter dying. Like I'm not like oh, you got to be respectful of him. I'm saying the innocent bystander that got killed.
So did you see that the shooter, the guy that got shot, he was a 50-year-old fireman, and did you see that the last tweet he posted before he died was a reply to Cat Turd?
No. No. Did not see that.
The last tweet was a reply to Cat Turd saying, going to the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania with an exclamation mark. And then there was another one that people dug up. That's what, so guys, you know, when you die, people are going to dig up all your social media. So another one showed like a CNN article, an AP article saying that, you know, thousands of kids have been killed in Gaza, and it had like, you know, rubble all over in Gaza. And the guy tweeted out, they'll get over it. Japan did. Like, real winner, this guy. I know, right? Yeah. So
you're a firefighter, bro.
I know, right? And you know, this was so weird about it. We say this about with religious folks, that if you grow up, these people, you know them, like you've seen them from time to time. They are good, decent, moral people that you trust to babysit your kids. And then you see the shit they post on politics, and it is horrifying. It is like they become just actual demons because they have to defend this political ideology. It's a weird Jekyll and Hyde. Like I'm sure if you knew this guy in your everyday life, he'd probably be a really cool dude. But then you see this shit where it's like, yeah, I don't care if those kids are dead. Yeah, I can't wait to support Donald Trump. It's odd.
Yeah. What are you pulling up?
I'm trying to find a clip from one of Thomas Crook's classmates where they ask about. Okay, I think. Hold on, let me see. This is it. It's 2 minutes long. Solve for me. Let me pull this up to make sure. Oh, can you hear that?
I hear something, but it's not.
Oh shit! Okay, let me move to the other screen here.
You're not screen sharing, and
right, but so it's weird. My screen sharing works on both screens, but audio only works on one screen. So if I want to keep it quiet, I have to head over here. That could really come back to bite me one day if I'm not careful with that. Just wondering about that. All right, let me see. This is from NBC. Let me pull this up. Let's see. Former. Here we go.
And this is another great use of an assistant to pull up clips for us.
Oh, so wouldn't it be great? Yeah. We need a Jamie.
He was bullied almost every day.
In what way can you explain?
I mean, he would sit alone at lunch. I mean, he was just an outcast, and you know how kids are nowadays. So they're going to see someone like that, and they're going to target him because they think it's funny or whatever. So it's the best way I can describe it. And it's honestly kind of sad. Like, I don't want to say this is what provoked it, but you never know.
Yeah. You said he was a loner?
Yeah. I want to say he was a loner more because he was quiet, but like he was just bullied. Like he was bullied so much.
I got to say it real quick. This guy definitely bullied that kid.
100%. This is guilty conscious right
this
here.
Guy definitely bullied the shit out of this kid. Why does he keep bringing this up? Like, oh man, I tell you, what I remember about Crooks is people were bullying him, man. I couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you who.
Hell if I know. But
everyone's trying to find out who did this.
He just needs to wear the hot dog costume. But okay, let me finish there. Okay.
So much.
It was in high school.
Yeah.
What did they do? You remember at all what they said to him or called him?
No. He was just made fun of, I guess, for the way he dressed or his appearance.
That's what
I saw that video. I'm so glad you thought the same thing. It's like, oh man, people kept bullying him. Do you know why they bullied? No, I mean,
but everyone did it.
Everyone did it, you know, and I couldn't tell you why. I mean, it was his clothes, but I mean, other things too. I'm sure. I don't know. It's like, bro, come on, man. I know what happened here. This sounds like
clearly no one was worried if he came to school with a gun. Wouldn't hit anything.
And I do like how he said, Yeah, he was bullied. You know how kids these days are. First off, dude, you are kids these days, okay? I mean, you are 20 years old. Like, who do you think kids these days refers to? And second, I got news for you. Kids have always been bullies. There's no time in human history. Kids are the cruelest individuals on the planet. Kids will call you ugly. They'll call you fat. They'll call you bald. That's how you know. That's how you want to know, like, if you're talented at something or whatever, or something's actually good. Ask anyone south of 10 years old. They will be brutally honest. They haven't learned to, lie to protect your feelings. They're just saying it's the way it is. But yeah, I'm glad you got that same reaction, because that's what I was going for. It's like, that is a grade A bully right there.
Oh God, yeah. And this is the crazy thing. Like, that's part of what we're talking about right now. Because I think this is the thing. Like, there's not much more here, guys. Like, that's why it hasn't been. And honestly, thank God, because when you were like, oh, one of my first reactions was, oh, it's over. Mine was too, but mine was, oh God, this is gonna take away all the momentum from getting Biden to step down. That was my number. It wasn't so much like, oh, people are gonna vote for Trump now, but I was worried that this was gonna take the air out of the tires, and we need every bit of pressure that we can get. And I'm glad to see that it's not. Like, I'm glad to see that it was a couple days where people just tap the brakes on it, and now we're back to it, because that was the biggest concern of mine from this all, and the only real reason why he would have done this. But again, if he wanted to take the air out of the tires, Trump is very good at attracting media attention without having to get himself nearly killed. So he would have done it a million other ways. Like, he would have just said something crazy or done something crazy, or who knows, That's
such a good point. Donald Trump is like the king of playing the media. It's what he was born to do. There are 1,000 different ways he could have, ramped up if he chose to do so, which he didn't have to based on his position and how weak Biden was looking. This is the last thing anyone would do. I don't know. I'm just so fucking disappointed. Everybody saying that shit. Hold on. John's last prediction was 60% that Biden is gone. Is that right? What's your well?
It was rising.
It goes down every day.
So it was rising for me until the Trump got shot thing and momentum reversed. Now we're still around 60%, I think. I've never seen anything like this where the party's in active revolt against the president. I just
never.
A lot of that 60% is just like, if Schumer and Pelosi are in on it, they're kind of pot committed at this point, and they're rapidly losing plausible deniability. And if Biden is the president, it's going to go really badly for people with enough power to stop him. So, like, at this point, it just feels to me that the powers that be are pot committed to getting him to step down. And once that is the case, they will do anything in their power to make it happen. That being said, this is so unprecedented, and we are dealing with, at the end of the day, the will of a clearly mentally compromised old man. So who fucking knows? And that's, I think you're probably a little less likely that he'll step down. And part of it for me is just that he fucking has to. Like, he has to. Or I don't know what I'm going to do, TJ. I have stopped contemplating light where he doesn't step down, because it's just a dark road, and it just keeps getting darker until eventually we're all dead. Like, that's it. There's no light at the end of the tunnel if he is the nominee. And it's not just that, it's that we lose all of the down ballot. Trump gets a trifecta and a mandate to rule, and it is very, very, very bad. And I just can't live in that reality yet until I absolutely have to.
When you said that he just has to, in my mind, I just pictured, like, Joe Biden is sitting in the Oval Office. There's a knock on the door. In walks Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, and his look was like, dude, you gotta, man. Let's go. Like, no, come on. Do we really need to argue about this? Come on, dude. Let's go. It's just you have to. It's just, I don't know. You're right. I've never seen anything like this. I doubt I'll see anything like this ever again. It's just such a weird situation. And which you mentioned earlier that, even like Biden might not survive until the election. Like, which is oddly the best case scenario.
Like TJ, he's getting worse.
Yeah,
He's actively like deteriorating before our eyes, and Bob Costas. Like I've been saying this for a little while, but he went on CNN and said it. And it was just like, yeah, this is the Emperor's New Clothes right before our eyes. Like, and this is the story, the Emperor's New Clothes, where everyone's saying, oh no, everyone's afraid to say it, but everyone can see it, and it just takes that one kid, and it's not going to be with that one kid. It's going to be Barack Obama. Or something like that, but like they need to break the spell, and once the spell is broken, it's broken. But god damn it, it needs to happen for my own mental health's sake.
I can't get over how it is an Emperor's New Clothes situation, but it didn't have to be. No. Biden could have done what he did last time, shut the fuck up and just hit out, not done anything, and it had been fine. Like it's an unforced error to just go out there and then show everybody, oh, this is actually how he is right now. Because it's hard to recover from that unless it's not true. And it turns out it is. And so it's going to be...
That's the thing, TJ. If it wasn't true, he would have done it. He would not look like he does still. Like, it's driving me crazy, TJ. And I just can't contemplate the world in which he isn't forced to... I really goddamn hope that the 25th Amendment is on the fucking table. Because it has to be. It has to be. Like they can't actually go forward with this. It's insane.
Listen, they might. I mean, they might. It's not. Listen, okay, this is the weird thing. We got a close request on 726, but I don't think it's impossible. You don't either. That it's possible that Biden actually runs.
And I just can't actually contemplate that it's possible. But I know it is.
The weird thing is, it's actually not impossible he wins either. Like, it's not. I mean, it's not likely, I wouldn't say, given the circumstances. But the way I've said is that I would still be more surprised at Trump's 2016 victory than I would be with Biden's current victory. I would. Like, that nothing's ever going to top that for me. And it's only because
No. I would be way more surprised.
You would? Okay, and I don't because Trump caught people off guard last time. And what's really got me on this is this weird contemplation that Trump's assassination attempt doesn't seem to have done a goddamn thing. People are pretty entrenched, and I don't think Biden has done himself any favors. I don't think he's likely to win, but it's still like it wouldn't be like I cannot. But there's no chance. I wouldn't bet everything I owned on. I wouldn't, and that just shows me how weird this entire situation is. I don't know.
TJ, let me put it this way. I worship at the altar of Nate Silver. I very, very, very much trust his forecasting skills. I've spent a lot of time looking into this. I'm currently working on a piece kind of comparing different models right now and why 538 is batshit insane. But he's the guy who found 538. If you were paying attention to him back in 2016, he gave Trump a 33% chance of winning. And I was fucking terrified that it would happen. And like, yeah, it happened. It happens a third of the time. It sounds like a large fucking disparity in politics because it's rarely that large gap. But currently, and Joe Biden's been up since the JD Vance announcement. He's up about 3 points since then, actually. But he's at 30%, 30.4% right now. Nate Silver's giving him a lower chance at this moment of winning the presidency than he did Trump in 2016. And honestly, he says, and I agree with him, that model is probably over predicting because it assumes like a normal candidacy that's like actually able to campaign, and Biden clearly isn't able to do that. So like I don't see a path to victory outside of Trump really just fumbling the bag so hardcore. But if he does that, then any other candidate would have also won. So it's not really a Biden can win this. He'll lose this.
I would give any other candidate pretty much a better chance than Biden at this point.
And, I want to address that before we close this out. Yeah. Mark said that you guys forget that Obama endorsed Clinton over Biden. Biden doesn't care what Obama says. I agree with that, but the American people do. And if Obama comes out if he says Biden, I think you should step down. I do believe Biden might say, go fuck yourself. But if he says, Biden, I'm going to come out publicly against you. If Biden then says, go fuck yourself, and Obama comes out publicly against him and goes, the American people need to come together and call for Joe Biden to step down, He's not fit for office. We need to defeat Trump. Like, it's over. Like, it's over at that point. He's not winning. And I think that at that point, either you then force the 25th Amendment if he doesn't step down after that, because that's the only next step. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about Joe Biden's decision at that point. If Obama makes that decision, the 25th Amendment is on the table.
Yeah, and I said I would respond to Mark saying that you forgot Obama endorsed Clinton over Biden. Biden doesn't care what Obama thinks. Well, I mean, apparently he does, because when Obama endorsed Clinton, Biden stepped the fuck down. Like, Biden wanted to run for president in 2016. Obama said, no, I'm backing Clinton. So apparently Obama's word does seem to matter. And Obama's the only reason Biden won in the first place, because Obama backed Biden over Bernie Sanders and had everybody step out during the Democratic primary. And it's like what John said, it's not so much that Joe Biden is going to listen to Barack Obama because like he's still his boss or something. It's the weight of what Barack Obama says affects not just the entire Democratic Party who will fall in line behind Obama, but the American people in general. It's like, oh, he's lost the confidence of, you know, our favorite Democratic president. It's not going to work well for them. But I don't know. That's how I feel. But all right. Tomorrow, John,
Yes. So I think that tomorrow we should talk about JD Vance.
Yep, that's what JD Vance written down.
Cover him in general. I think that we've spent enough time talking about the assassination attempt today. I don't think we will have too much more to say about it tomorrow. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I may have a couple jokes or two to workshop with that, because we're not going to get another opportunity. So I don't think we'll get another opportunity for it, but it may not be a whole segment, but we'll see.
But she, Natalie, who will be our guest tomorrow, a friend of the show, she's been a guest multiple times now. She wanted to talk about the Supreme Court and all of the skullfuckery that's going on there. That is not the words that she would have ever used, but that's the words that I would use.
Natalie threw me off guard whenever she was a guest, because what did I tell her? What did I say? I thought she was a lib. She
gives such like Hillary Democrat vibes.
Yeah,
like just her entire appearance. But she's down for the cause pretty hard.
I remember I said that she looks like she has her shit together, and very few people like us do. And so I was like, I figured that, that's what it was. It's like, she looks professional. She actually was like, oh, okay, we have an actual adult here. So she might be, and so that threw me off. Let's see. Yes, I had it written down to it. Do we want to talk about, I feel like we should talk about the convention. I know that we haven't had a lot of wild news stories from it, but there's always something weird at the RNC convention. I'll find something odd to make fun of.
Like, we can talk about the convention and just like how shocking, like kind of the Republican strategy moving forward here. Like, we've talked a lot about it from the Democrat side, what strategy needs to be, but like the Republican strategy and what they're doing. And, you know, we can talk a little bit more. We talked about one thing in the RNC platform, but there's plenty there that we can talk about too. So yeah, just general RNC talk.
John, breaking news. Joe Biden has COVID. I don't know if you
TJ, I'm not going to say anything. We're not going to comment on that breaking news.
I'm not kidding. Hold on. Holy shit. Let me see. I just saw this. This is wild. Let's see. Let me maximize this here.
I love the Biden 81. Like, that's such a low key like illusion. You wouldn't put if Obama had it. It wouldn't like Obama 53. I don't know.
President Joe Biden has tested positive. He's 63. I think he's just old as my mom. I think they're both in the same year. That's how I thought just now. But tested positive for COVID-19 on Wednesday and is experiencing mild symptoms, according to the White House. Biden, 81, tested positive following his first event in Las Vegas, where he is expected to later speak at the United States. That's what that means. If my Spanish is correct there, annual conference. The president's doctor said Biden has received his first dose of antiviral drug Paxlovid. I've never seen that before. And will be self-isolating. Fuck it. Well, you guys get the point. Joe Biden has COVID. So, all right. I don't know if that'll be a story tomorrow, but that's just very funny.
The story could rapidly change in a moment's notice, PJ.
Oh my God! If Joe Biden died of COVID, you know what?
Again, I'm like I'm on too hot a mic right now to really. I have to process this.
So I'll put Biden COVID question mark. We'll see how this goes today. That's gonna be good. But all right, JD Vance, RNC convention, Supreme Court. Possibly
I mind talking about the state of progressive checkmate
atheists. Martinez, almost as funny as me, everyone. Mio Martinez, he's a funny dude. Almost at my level, so he'll get there one day. But the state
I want to talk about the slate of progressive policies that Biden is desperately now trying to push in order to move the needle. There's so much to talk about there, and I think that should definitely be a topic.
That is a good one. I just get so angry at that. He's like, elect me president, I'll do this. It's like, man, you've been president 4 years. Like, are you? I don't know. That's wild shit to me. But all right, we'll get this stuff wrapped up, and we will catch you guys tomorrow evening.
See you guys.